This is the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent podcast hosted by me, Kelly Donahue-Piro. This show is for growing agencies looking to maximize their biggest investment, their people. We mash up our 3-minute videos from the previous week, all with tips on how to be ridiculously amazing at insurance sales, retention, processes, marketing, running in an agency, and time management. If you want them daily, like us on social media as they're posted. But let's get started. All right, everybody. Well, this is our mashup of our videos for the week, and this one was really fun. I'm recording these 20 days before I finish a program called 75 Hard. You'll hear me talk a lot about it during these videos, but it's basically a mental toughness challenge. You can't drink. You have to stick to a diet. You have to take a progress pic every single week. You have to work out twice, once outside, no matter the inclement weather, and drink a gallon of water. And there might be, and read 10 pages of a book. You're going to do this for 75 days straight. If you stop and you miss up even one of those things one day, you go back to the beginning. And it's been really game-changing for me. And so I wanted to pull together and share with you the top 4 things I've learned. Now, when you hear this, I will be done with 75 Hard. I hope. I know hope is a tough thing. So I'm on track, 20 days left. I'm feeling great. But we just want to make sure if you do see it, they'll be on social media, the big downfall. But it doesn't mean that these lessons don't make any more sense. So take a listen and listen about the 4 things that I think I pulled out of 75 Hard that you should consider for you and your agency. Hi, everyone. Kelly Donahue-Piro here. And if any of you are following me on social media, you know that I've been doing 75 Hard. And this week, we're going to talk all about how 75 Hard has taught me some really great business lessons. So if any of you don't know what 75 Hard is, it's a 75-day mental toughness challenge where you have to work out twice a day, once outside, no matter the weather. You have to read 10 pages of any nonfiction book of your choice. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. You have to stick to a diet with no cheat meals. And you have to take a progress picture of yourself every day, and it gets tracked in an app. And you might be thinking, well, don't you need a rest day? Don't you get a cheat day? You don't. In fact, if you screw up even once, you're going back to the beginning. I'm recording this when I have 20 days left, and generally we're about 6 weeks ahead on our broadcasting. So hopefully I'm recording this and I have successfully completed 75 Hard. But I want to say that the first business lesson that I've learned by doing this is judgment. So before 75 Hard, I had a couple friends that were doing it. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't give up drinking, because that's another component is you can't drink a sip of alcohol. And I was like, that's not for me. I couldn't give up drinking. And honestly, it's my favorite part of the whole scenario. I feel clearer. I feel more energized. I just feel better in general. And so a few things on judgment. And I'm going to talk a few things on drinking if you're considering doing 75 Hard or just want to cut back. The judgment component of it thought, gosh, I haven't not drank in 75 days since high school? And it just became such a part of everything. In my head, it was this overwhelming situation. But in ultimate practice, after I tried it, experienced it, I can say I'm a completely different person because of it. And when I go into agencies, I often see judgment on things. I see judgment. We can't make renewal calls. I don't want to wear a headset. I don't like them. I don't like how they feel. And let me just tell you on the headset one, I often ask people right then and there, have you tried one? No. And I'm like, judgment. Now, for most people, we don't want to be known as judgmental, but we judge things all day long. And so if you're judging anything right now, ask yourself, have I tried it for 30 days to give it a clear picture? Or is it just, I don't want to go through the discomfort that I may perceive to get there? Now, step 2 on this is, cutting down drinking has been an amazing situation for me. Now, I will say I don't think I had a problem with drinking, but it was part of my weekly activities. By not doing it, I'm sleeping better, I'm exercising more, and just in general, much, much sharper, and I'm getting a lot more done. So here's the thing. I listened to a podcast by Glennon Doyle, and she's a recovering addict, and she said, when you say, I've got to go home and have a drink because I'm stressed out, I had a rough day, maybe instead you should deal with the thing that's stressing you out versus have a drink. And that just really, really resonated with me. It's also resonated with me differences in relationships. So if I'm only going out and hanging out with people who enjoy having a drink with me, well, what is that relationship really? So it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. But going back to judgment, if you see judgment on your team or you're judging something, I'm going to ask you, could you, at your age bracket, however old you are, give it an honest 30 days just as a trial? Get rid of all the judgment. Understand that there's plenty of people out there that either wear headsets or make renewal calls or cross-sell on every call, whatever it is that's holding you back that you're judging, and just say, I'm going to keep an open mind about it. You may have to work pretty hard at it, but if you do, you might be surprised at how many things you're judging that really do benefit you, and you're putting up an unnecessary fight. So, who's with me on getting rid of some judgment? Our next video that I'm having 75 Hard is excuses. So I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. All right, here's the next one. The next one is excuses. And I have a high excuse meter as it is. So this one just put gasoline on that, man. I have no tolerance for the excuse game anymore. And, you know, excuses, I think, are so prevalent in insurance agencies. And many times we're not either sure what to do with them, or it's become just so common to throw an excuse out. An excuse is not a plan. And so excuses generally come when someone has been caught providing subpar performance. And so we get flustered and we give an excuse versus saying, I didn't get to it. Here's the plan. Here's how I'm going to make sure it never happens again. And when you start to see excuses, a lot of people would talk to me about 75 Hards. Oh, I couldn't do it. And I'd say, why? Well, you know, I got kids. And I said, there's people who are in this Facebook group that have 6 kids and they're single parents and they're doing it. Oh, I work this, or, you know, and it's just in your head, you're just seeing all these limitations, where opening your mind up and really saying, is this an excuse? Yes or no? If it's an excuse, call it out. It's an excuse and I'm not ready to do it, but here's the day I'm going to work through that excuse, because you can do anything you set your mind to, even if it's hard. I have this, you know, I love Glennon Doyle saying you can do hard things. You too can do hard things. And hopefully you see that in this video on excuses. So we're back on talking this week all about my journey with 75 Hard. Just a quick update what 75 Hard is. It's a mental toughness challenge. And what that is I have to drink a gallon of water, work out twice a day, once outside, no matter the weather, read 10 pages of a book, take a progress pic, no drinking, and stick to a strict diet. And so by doing this, I've learned a lot that I want to share with everybody. So this one is on excuses. Now, about halfway through the program, I texted a good friend of mine, Stacy, and she had done it before. And I'm like, I just see excuses everywhere doing this, because it's really easy to make an excuse not to stick to your diet, not to work out. And when you have to challenge yourself to do that, otherwise you get reset back to the beginning, you really do see people just with excuses all day long. And I saw myself with a lot of excuses. Now, I would usually work out 4 to 5 times a week, which for some of you might think that that's amazing. But there would definitely be days where I'd be like, oh, I just don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like this, or I got in late, or, you know, hey, it's a long day. I'm going to eat that dessert or have that drink, whatever it was. I was making excuses that would end up tripping me up to ultimately hitting my true goals. And so now it's funny, I see them everywhere, and I'm able to pinpoint an excuse pretty quickly. So an excuse really looks like, you know, somebody's reasoning for not being able to hit their potential. So an example of that for me in 75 Hard was, well, you know, I travel every week. What do I do? Well, you know what? Last night, I had to wake up at 3 a.m. to do a 45-minute walk outside in a hotel parking lot, well lit, of course, to get my workout in before I, had to get aboard a plane. Now, some of you are thinking that's crazy. You know what? I can understand that. And I'm not going to judge you for that comment, but by doing it, I feel a million times better. If I've got to travel all day and I can get up and stretch my legs, it's 3 o'clock in the morning in Phoenix, it's 6 a.m. at home, it's not that big of a deal. And I can sleep on an airplane. So when you start seeing, excuses for things like, oh, we just didn't get to that. Oh, I just didn't call that client back. I didn't have time to do the quote. You have to really ask yourself, like, what's the excuse? Well, what were you doing instead? Why couldn't you do it? Did you talk to somebody? Did you, there's 700 ways to be a person of honor. And there's 700 ways to still, if you set out to do it, to get it done. And what we see in a lot of agencies is excuses come out because there is no true commitment to getting some things done. It's if I have time, well, we'll see. Well, the phone's here. All the things start coming out. And we like to say, excuses are a problem because you're just describing the water while someone's drowning. Well, this, that, and the next thing, no one's got a plan. When you do 75 hard, you start seeing that there's a plan to tackle anything. And if I don't have a plan, I won't get through those activities and I'll let myself down. I won't hit my potential. So when you're thinking about hearing people's excuses, I want you to think, do they have a plan? The answer is no, because there have been plenty of times where my plan got screwed up and I had to think on my feet and go to plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I'm calling it my hospitality hikes now. I've definitely walked with a 30-pound backpack across an airport for 45 minutes just for fun. Well, fun or hitting the goal. But the idea is that you have to see these excuses and identify it's an excuse if the person doesn't have a plan. And it's different if they're asking you for help with a plan, but if you catch somebody in something and they're not doing it, it's an excuse. So that's our tip for today is get rid of excuses, see the excuses for what they are, call them out on it, and say, how are we going to get back here and get to creating the plan? Hey everyone, so you're listening all about how not to become the next blockbuster, which I hope is resonating with you. And one step in doing that is setting growth goals for your agency. I see a lot of agencies that just don't set goals because it's uncomfortable. You're not sure how to track it. What if you lose? Who's going to pay attention to it? And that's the things we all have to kind of get through and get away from, because goals are incredibly important. One, to celebrate, and two, to understand what's working and what's not working. And many agency owners never set goals, so they're not sure where to start. And that's what we have with this process pack. For $200, you can go ahead and get how to set your goals. There's a calculator that we use that says, hey, this is where you are, this is where you want to be with retention and rate increases. This is what we need to do. And then how to roll them out to your team, how to incentivize your team to embrace goals, what to expect as you push your team to be more goal orientated. But now is a great time to do this as we head towards the end of the year. What time other than now to start just getting everyone used to goals? It's right now. Let's do it. Let's not become Blockbuster, right? So check out our agency process pack, all about how to set those goals. And, we would love for you to check out our other process packs as well. Until then, go get your goals going, guys. Don't become Blockbuster. We'll see you soon. Okay, next up is our time management. I teach courses on time management. We talk about that in this video. And I was amazed by how doing this, I thought I would have so much less time, that it would be so much more pressure. But it actually opened my mind up to how much time I have. And honestly, how many times I was maybe working a little burned out and stressed out. So like a great example of this is I was in Phoenix last week, and I had to drive 2 hours from Tucson to Phoenix, staying in a hotel for an earlier morning flight the next day. And I got in and it was probably 6:30 and I had all these emails I had to get to and everything else. But I got the hotel, put my clothes on, and went for a 45-minute walk in 112-degree heat. Not anything crazy. It was the best thing for me in that moment because, one, I was sitting for 2 hours. I was sitting all day. Now I got to move. And there is a lot connected to moving your body and being sharp and aware and efficient and effective. And then the second thing was, I had some time to decompress. And so, in that moment, I was kind of walking and texting some friends. I called a friend while I was walking, and I got to connect as a person, not just go, drive, hotel, get here, and just feel all sorts of burned out all the time. 45 minutes is not that long, and the clarity it brought me and the energy it brought me was amazing. So I want you to think about time management differently. It's not always about how to sneak more in. Sometimes it's how to take yourself and make you a superhuman. And that, your body does need to move, and it needs breaks, and it needs that to be that much more efficient. And I found after I did that, took a quick shower, had DoorDash deliver my dinner, and I was ready to rock and roll for really 90 minutes of very clear work to get done, where before I would have been like this, that, and just chaos in my brain. So time management is more than just scheduling. Time management can be resource management. And I want to talk to you about that in this video. All right, so we're talking all this week about my experience with 75 Hard and some lessons that I've learned by doing 75 Hard, but also how does it impact business life. So I won't go through what 75 Hard is on this video. If you want to go back to our video yesterday or the day before, and by all means, we go through the program. But Today is really time management. Now, you might be thinking, Kelly, you teach a time management class. You literally teach people about time management. How could you find more time? I was actually pretty astounded by this because I actually had a boss once that called me the world's most efficient person. And so I prided myself on this. But honestly, I found more time by doing 75 hard. And I found more time because I was taking, one, better care of myself. So I had better energy. Two, I had to be very specific. If you want to get a workout in twice a day, once outside, and I didn't really want to be the single female out at night, I had to find ways. This also allowed me to say no to certain things that maybe I would have in the past. You know, maybe it was like a friend wants to go grab a drink. Well, I'm not drinking, so no. Or, you know, meal prepping so that way I knew if I was going to come home at 8:30 and I'm doing intermittent fasting and eat before 9, it was all taken care of, and a day that was a little easier. But the idea is with time management is that you actually can fit it all in. And what I found is I had more time in the day than I ever truly thought about. And I think that that is really critical. If you're feeling overwhelmed and stuck and thinking, there's no way I could do 2 workouts and all this stuff, I don't have time, I'd encourage you to bite the bullet. You will find the time. Now, there might be some times at 11 o'clock at night, you're on your Peloton. And there might be some times where you're walking a hotel parking lot at 3 a.m. Yes, but it's all about what's important to you. And the reason I say this is that, you know, for so many people, they struggle with time and managing time. And I totally respect that it's not everybody's jam. It might be more my gig than most. But feeling bad every day about how little you got done or your intention for the day is no way to live either. You have to really be committed to execution, and you have to be committed to, you know, actually going out and doing what you say you're going to do. So many people show up not confident in what they want to accomplish today. And so it becomes like, well, I hope I get to it. Not with this program, trust me. And not in your agency. Hope's not your strategy. You have to have an intention and plan and a commitment to it. Yes, you will overcome challenges. I've definitely had to do that. You know, hey, this didn't go the way I wanted. I got to go in this direction. And you'll get there. But once you build that skill set of managing your time and managing through the challenges of time, you'll know you always have a stronger way to get done what you promise people. So that's our tip today. We'll see you in tomorrow's video. All right, so this next one I think is the one that hit me the most personally, which is the definition of winning. Every day I had a clear list on this program of what I had to do to win to get to the next day. And every day brought me closer to day 75. And so I think my takeaway on that is, you know, before this, I didn't really have a definition of winning. Yes, I was working out. I was trying to eat healthy. I was trying to read. I was like trying to do all these things. And they just felt like, I know what I need to do to be a good person, but how do I pull them all together? And on days that were hard, I'd tap out because it was hard. But when I clearly got to define winning and said, this is the checklist for the day, it changed a lot of things for me. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, like, what do you mean? Like, how do we define winning? Well, winning could be that, you know, you do 20 activities. Winning could be that you sell 1 quote a day. Winning could be that, you know, you get to work on time. I mean, I think every agency should really define what winning is every day. And, you know, don't over jam it up, make it simple. So if we do these things, we're winning. You know, the other stuff will get in the way, and there'll be days that winning is harder, but we just need to keep focused on winning the day. And, you know, I think that that just makes so much sense to me. With no definition of winning and you're trying to balance all these different things, it gets super, super difficult to really manage how it works. And I was thinking about our programs, and, you know, in our 2-year program, we do time management and then renewals and then sales. And each one has 2 to 3 tasks, you know, things that like, this is what we got to focus on every day. If you stack them all together in 2 years, the agency has a definition of winning every day, and they don't want to go backwards. Many times in our programs, especially time management, one of our keys is email management and overdue activities. And people started telling me I had thousands of emails in my inbox, and I fight hard to keep them under 10. And that's the definition of winning. And so if you're struggling with this, I really think you should explore a little bit more. How can you define winning every day? So you're not thinking about all the things you didn't get to, the things you wish, you know, how should you have done that? And instead really commit to a plan of winning. All right, so we're on tip 4 of 75 Hard, and what I learned from it, both personally, professionally, and tips for your agency. So this next one probably has been one of the biggest ones for me, which is, the concept of winning. So I love to win. I know Jason Cass often comments on his podcast, do you love to win or hate to lose? And I love winning. And I think so many times, either running a business or being in an insurance agency, there is no definition for winning. And if you're someone like me, I just listened to a whole podcast on this. So it was like, you win, and then it's like, well, what's next? Winning feels good for 5 minutes, and it's like, let's get back after it. And so it can kind of play with your mind a little bit, where it's like, what's the definition of winning? And I equate a lot of things to like trying to lose weight. You could be on a diet. If you weigh yourself every day, you can stick to it extreme and put on a pound. And sometimes, 2 weeks later, you'll take off 2 pounds, but you're always stinging about that one day. So that's not the definition of winning. It's disconnected at that point. But in this one, the definition of winning is very clear. You have to do these tasks every single day. And if you don't, you go back to day one. So there's a consequence, and you have to, keep figuring it out, basically. And they call it a mental toughness challenge because that's just what it is. But every day I check off my app and I feel like, I got through one more day on this. It's the definition of winning. So in your agency and in your personal life, have you defined what a winning day is? And so many times we throw so much crap into that and so much clutter that it's not a winning day. In fact, it's a losing day because we were never even going to be able to accomplish it. We didn't have a plan. So I think you should sit down and define winning and then clearly execute your steps to get there. Because just saying this is what winning is without a plan won't get you very far. So if you feel like you're winning every day, do you know what that does for your confidence, your swagger, your ability to think clearly, just your overall well-being is huge. By just checking those boxes off every day, it elevated my level of confidence and security and just, I had a great day. It didn't take me to that place of all the things that didn't go the way I wanted them to. It said, hey, that happened and I still did X, Y, and Z. And that level of feeling that is huge, not just for you, but if you're, on a team, frontline team member, defining winning is a great way to get your agency super far ahead. Because so many agency team members don't feel like they're winning all day long. And over time, that really grades on your confidence and it grades on your ability to think clearly, and also leads to burnout. So stop for a minute. Think about what winning is. Write it down and make it simple. If we do these things every day, we're winning, and celebrate the snot out of that when you win the day. All right, everybody. Well, that's my journey on 75 Hard. Hopefully, like I said, you've seen this and everybody knows that I've completed it. I'm hopeful. I just had a friend of mine that, on honest mistake, forgot to read a few pages in her book and got tripped up. But she's back on. She went right back in and started 75 again, and it was an honest mistake. But, the idea is that I've learned so much, and it's important to me to share those things both personally and professionally with you guys. So have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you in our next videos.